Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 7 of our full site build. Today we're going to build out this Why Choose Us section. I do plan on making this top part into a intro component, but I'm not going to do that in this video. We'll come back and do that probably in the next video, but we are going to build out this section in general. Let's go ahead and dive in and get started. I'm going to launch Etch here on my home page. I am going to add in a brand new section, and I'm going to call this Why section. I'm going to create an inner here. I'm also going to add another container. I'm going to move that up here, and I'll call this my intro, so that we have that separate for later. Then inside my inner, I'm going to add in a flex div, and we're going to call this our list and call it make this a UL. Inside my list, I'm going to add a div, change this to an LI, and call it a list item. Inside my intro, we're going to need 3 pieces of text. Let's see, we'll do a wrapper here, and then icon and text, and then text and text. All right, so in our intro, we'll start off with a div, and inside that div, we're going to put an icon, and this is where I'm actually going to put my semantic heading, and then outside of that, I'm going to put text twice. I'm going to call this my headline. Call this the lead. This can stay a heading at H2. This can be my icon. And this can be my heading wrapper. I am going to bend this because it's all separate from itself. Then what I can do is move this outside of everything here and bem the rest of this. So let's see if I can move this outside of my section here. And it might not let me. I can just move it to the top, perfect. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bem this now. We're gonna pull our intro back in. So now you can see we have some text on, or our classes lined up on everything here. Let's go ahead and just build out our intro. So the very first thing we have here is that icon, and it's that warning icon with a heading of Why Choose Us. And again, this should be an H2, but we don't want the actual size of it to be an H2 here. So we can go font weight of 400. We can go font size of our text medium. I do, however, want to, let's take a look at here. So we are going semi-bold and 20. So this will actually be 600. And I think I'm going to keep it as the text M there. It is not all uppercase, but in other places it is. So I'm going to do that here. So I'm going to go text transform of uppercase. So it's all uppercase there for us. My icon, I need my color to be the warning sign or warning color. And maybe color is not the right one. Let's try fill. That wasn't it either. make sure my warning color is actually on, or danger is what I'm looking for, my apology. And we got our color in there on that icon. Let's take a look at the sizing of that. I'm guessing it's probably 20. Yep. So inline size of 2 rem, and we're going to go 20 pixels. Close that out. That looks pretty good there. Our text needs to be color of danger dark, I think. Does not look like that worked. Let's take a look at our colors again. And we can see that those need some adjusting here. So let's take a look at this. Don't think we use those anywhere else. So my semi-dark is 35. We probably want to bump up a lot closer to that. And set that to original. It's still, I think I'm going to just change that to semi-dark. We got our dark, ultra dark, and semi-dark. So that looks a little bit better there. And back to our wrapper. We need to do a radius circle on that. We want to go of inline size of max content, padding, and we want these to be next to each other. So I used my quick action to set that to flex row. I need a gap of, I'm going to go 1ch, which is a character width. That should give us a nice little gap there. And then our background color is going to be our danger ultralight. And that should be all I need on that. I think I'll go for that same color as I did on the heading. So we went semi-dark here. I'm going to do that same thing on my icon. So that looks a little bit better. I'm going to hit save there. Next on my heading, we need to go tired of unreliable plumbers. And then lastly, need to copy this over into our lead. Okay, we got that in there. Our headline, we want to go font size of H2, font weight of heading font weight, and my color I don't need to do anything else with besides we are going to put a span around this. Just going to cut that out and put it in here. And then we can target our span inside of here and go color of danger. I think we're just going to go danger. Yep, that matches our color. Perfect. And the next thing I need to do is on my intro, I want to set everything to flex column, and we want to center it all. On here, we want to make that not quite as wide. We'll go text align center, just so that's in there. We're going to go with a max inline size of, keep playing with this, 40 characters. We'll go text wrap of balance. And I think pretty happy with that. I do also want to go, I'm going to copy this over to my headline here, but I'm going to take out the max inline size on that. I just want it to be centered and balanced on that as well. Click save, and that looks pretty good for our intro. Again, I'll come back and make this into an actual component a little later. We've already BEM'd the rest of this, so we can go ahead and get started on this. I do know I want to make this into a grid, so I'm going to add in my grid. I know I'm going to need a media query at some point, and I'm just going to guess and say like around 900 pixels for now is going to be set our grid template columns to grid 2. So anything over that 900 pixels is going to go to grid 2, otherwise it's going to be a grid 1. One thing I do want to double check on that. Okay, I did do that. All right, and I'll stick with our standard grid gap on this too. I'm going to hit save just to make sure we're good to go there. Then for my actual card itself, I'm going to add in a flex div. Inside of here, we're going to need a heading wrapper that's going to have an icon and an icon wrapper, and then we'll go with the content wrapper for these two items. So another flex div. I'm going to call this a list card. Is my heading wrapper. Inside of here, I need a flex div for my content wrapper with a heading and text. My heading should be an H3, and inside here I need a div, and inside the div I want to put an icon. Icon wrapper, lead, heading, content, icon. Okay, we're making good progress there. And then we're going to have to do another wrapper down here, which is just going to be our list. So inside my card, I'm going to add another flex div. This will be called our list. Change that to a unordered list, and inside of here, I want a div. Inside that div is going to be an icon and text. I'm going to call this list icon. I'm going to call this list item. And we will call this content. I think I got everything named appropriately here that I want. And then from here, we can go ahead and bend this out. All right, the very first thing I'm going to do is on both my list, I'm going to duplicate my icon, and same with on my heading icon, I'm going to duplicate that as well. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to make this into a component, and I want to have two versions. We're going to have this version, which I'm going to call the con card, and this one I'm going to call the pro card, or pro version. And that way I can dynamically choose which icon is going to show based on a condition. So I have both of those in there. I am going to set each of these. Doesn't really matter which one we go first. I need the proper icon here. And I seem to be missing one. I know that is going to be our con icon. And our pro icon is supposed to be that check. Not this one. That's the wrong one. Sometimes I feel like I'm blind here. Let's check our official media over here. Icons. Let me go into my Finder here and take a look. I may have forgot to upload that one. And I do not see it in my list. Oh, here it is. All right, we got that in there. I'm gonna close this. Let's see if this works for me. And there it is. We'll use that, strip the color, and we're gonna do the same thing on the icons below. Top one I will do here, and bottom one I will do as this one. All right, we got both of those in there. I can start setting the sizing of these. Those are, I'm just gonna go 20 on both of those. Inline size of 2 rem, 20 pixels. Perfect. And then on the other one, we're going to go inline size to rem of, let's go 35. Seems a little bit smaller, but it's okay. My icon wrapper, I need to set this to a specific size. So I'm going to go inline size of, I believe it was 65. Yep. I'm going to copy that, paste it, go block size. Display flex that. And somehow I got in the center of it. Let's fix that. There we go. And we want center and center on that. All right. On our list item down here, we want to set this to be flex row. And I'm going to go gap of 1 character again here. Again, we have 2 icons showing, but one of those will disappear eventually here. Hit save, just so we are always saving our changes as we go. We can go to the front end and take a look, see where we're at on this. All right. Let's take a look here. I think next we want to work on our headings. So we'll start with the con card. So it'll be the old way and what you're used to. Other thing on my icon wrapper, I'm going to go order of -1 on this, so that puts those first. And on our wrapper here, we want to go to flex row on this, and on my gap, I'm going to go space XS. The other thing I want to do on my icon wrapper is I need to set this to flex shrink of 0. That's going to make sure that my container here does not shrink as my container size gets smaller. Just always need to make sure you do that when you want something to be an explicit size here, which I do want that to maintain this size the entire time. On my content wrapper here, I'm going to just set this to flex column, top and left, and I want my gap to be space extra small. That may end up being too big. I can't remember what we did here. It says gap of 0, but there's some line height in there. So I'm going to leave this for now, and we'll come back to it. All right, let's take a look here on my actual icon wrapper here. We also need to add in a border radius of radius circle. And if we put a background in there of our danger, you can see that fills in there. We're not going to do it actually in here. I'm just showing you right now that is one of the items that we're going to need in there. But we're going to do that a little bit of a different way. So I'm going to take my background out of that, and let's go back up to our card. On my card, I know I'm going to want it to be a flex column. I want my gap or I'll go padding of space M So we got space M on there, and then we want a gap of, I'm just going to change this to space S. We also need to put a border width of 1 pixel, border style of solid, and border radius of radius. Again, I'm not going to color it yet. That will come in a moment here. Just getting the basics started of our card as we go here. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to hit save, and this is where we're going to get kind of into a little bit more of an advanced technique here. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this card and I'm going to create a component. I have to add a select prop, and I'm going to call this type. And in here, I'm going to have a con, and you always got to make sure you have a space in between both of those for your semicolon. And I'm going to go pro and pro. From here, we also need 2 text items. One is going to be the heading, and one is going to be the lead. What I'm not going to do is put in a prop for the icon or anything for here, because I'm actually going to use a loop, a JSON loop, to fill out our items here. So I have everything that I want here. I'm going to populate my title there and my lead, and then on my card itself I want to add in data dot, and I'm going to call this like objection, because this is kind of addressing common objections people have. And we're going to go props dot type. I'm going to add that in, and you can see it doesn't look like it actually added that for me. What happened there? There we go. So you got to put quotes around it initially, but it does pull them out once you add that in. And then what I'm going to do down here is we're going to go and put my square brackets, data dot objection equals, we're going to go, we'll go con first, put the I in just to make sure that if it's capital or not, it's still going to work. I'm going to give us some more space here so that we can see. And then I'm going to copy this right away and paste it, and we're going to change this one to pro. So what I'm going to do is nest a bunch of stuff inside of here so that we can start to build out our card here. So one of the very first things I'm going to do on that is going to be our background color. So in this case, we're going to go danger ultra light, and you can see that fills in for us. If I copy this over down here, I'm going to change this to my success color, which you're not going to see because right now we're only showing the con as our default. All right. From there, we also want to set our border color. And that's going to be a danger color there, and border color here is going to be our success color. Gotta make sure I spell things correctly here. All right. Next, what we're going to do is target our heading. So how I'm going to do this is going to be and underscore underscore and heading. And this is basically using some SCSS instead. However, you can't natively use that, but the way that Etch is built is they have a parser built in, so it allows us to do nesting like this. So I don't have to type in list card every time. I can just do and then my class after that. So for this, I want to go color of danger dark, and you can see my heading color changed. I do also want to, before I forget, on my heading, set my text transform to uppercase, and on my lead, I want to set my font size to text S. I'm going to take out this fallback, back up to our card here. I'm going to do the same thing down here, except we're going to change this to success. Again, we can't see that. I could swap these, the order of these, so we can just test this out and verify, but for right now I'm not going to do that. The next thing I'm going to do is going to be our icon. And for that, I'm going to set our color to let's go, I believe it was danger dark there as well. So you can see it changed those. Actually, I need to do the icon wrapper too. So I'm going to do that before it. And this one, we're setting that background to the danger light. Perfect. All right. Let me double check my colors on that one. Yep, danger light. And if we need to adjust our colors a little bit, we can. All right, so we got that set there. I need to copy that as well down here. I can actually copy both of those. Change it to success. All right, so we changed the color of our heading already. We don't need to do anything with the heading wrapper or the lead. We changed the icons based on what our prop is set to. And then for our icon down here, we don't need a list item or an icon wrapper. We just need that list icon. So we had one last one here. List icon. And that is going to be the same exact color as down here. So I probably could actually just copy this and go list icon. So that should have targeted that. I can't quite tell because it's smaller here. Check on the front end. I'm going to exit here. I'm going to set that to con, the old way, what you're used to. And we can actually double this up right away. And this one I'm going to go to Pro and the Mr. Plumber way and what you deserve. So now you can see we've got those both in here. Color is not perfect on this. So let's take a look. The other thing I want to double check on is my list here. And I went and put this on the wrong thing. So I'm just going to copy that and paste that here. So now we're next to each other. Back to our colors here on success. We want that light to end up being a little bit I want to take all these and set them back to what they originally were. That looks a little bit better. Okay, hit save. Let's take a look. I'm a little bit happier with that. Again, I will probably come back and adjust those a little bit more too. I'm going to hit save, jump to the front end again, and we should have both of these here. If I inspect and I look at my icons here, we got our danger dark on this one, which is what I want. And if I inspect here on our icon, we have our success dark there. So I'm happy with that. Now let's get those set up to show accordingly. So on this icon, I'm going to wrap it in a condition. I'm going to click on this icon. I'm also going to wrap that in a condition. And this is going to be props dot type equals con. And it's giving me an error there. And actually that should be Pro on this one. Same using dashes, but I'm not. I think I need to actually do this as well. There we go. Copy that over here. Is going to be con, and you can see the proper one shows up. I'm going to do the same exact thing down here, wrap in a loop, or sorry, I did that incorrectly. Drag that out of the loop and delete that. Wrap in condition, paste that in, and that should be my con. This one, wrap in condition, and that'll be my pro. So you can see those are showing accordingly there. So now anytime I change what card type it is, it's automatically going to change that icon for me. So we don't have to do anything there. Double check the front end, and we are all set to go there. All right. Lastly, we are going to build out the loop for this. So I'm going to find my list item, which I never actually changed to an LI, but that's okay. We can change that now. This I'm going to wrap in a loop, and it's going to be set to something else here. So I'm just going to hit save. On my props here, I'm going to add in a loop prop, and we're going to just type in loop. I'm not going to set a default because I don't have one yet. Hit save. We're going to go to loop manager. I'm going to create two loops. One I'm going to call my con loop, and that's going to be JSON data. This one is going to be my pro loop, and that's also going to be JSON data. I'm going to take out the ID on both of these, and I'm going to change this to item, and I'm going to copy and paste this. So I have a total of 5 of them. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I just copy and paste this, I'm going to grab it from my other screen just to make it a little bit easier so I don't have to switch back and forth for you guys. This is my pro loop. Which should actually be this one. And I actually messed that up, I think. Okay, let's try that again. Copy that, paste, next one, and then I'm going to just copy this whole thing, come over to my con loop and paste it in here, and we can just grab all these and paste them in. And last one here. All right. So we have both of those set. I'm going to hit save. Can exit out of our loop manager. Now, if I come into our drop down here, I still don't have either of those showing as my default, but that's okay. I'm just going to hit save here. What I will have to do is on my content is I'm going to set this to props.item. And that'll make sense here in a moment. If I go back up to my loop, I can choose, we'll start off with the con. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are showing up. Con loop as item. And I did props, which is not accurate. Should be item dot. All right, hit save. Exit. Now you can see both of them are showing up as the same. However, if I actually set my loop here to con loop on this one and my pro loop on this one, it should have oh, that's what I need to do. My bad. All right. Edit component. And on my loop here, I need to actually set this to props.loop. And again, I can't pull anything right now until we exit. All right, let's double check that. Do I not need the brackets on this? And that appears to solve my issue. And there we are. All right, make this a little bit smaller so we can see this again. Let's go back up to our grid here and we can start testing out our sizing. So you can see everything is getting a little bit smaller. One thing we need to do on our list item is flex this and go flex 1 so that they're the same size. And let's take a look here. So we said at 900 is when it goes. Fairly happy with that. One thing I do want to do here, edit my component, come up to my list, and I want to it's my list item is that I want to do this on. Set these to start so that my icon stays to the top on that. Back to the front. Okay, we can see those are showing how we want them to. Where normally it's going to be in line with our text, which I'm happy with. We should probably also adjust our gap on our actual list. These are set to a flex column, and we'll go gap of space excess. Pretty happy with that. I do want to come back up to our card itself, and I'm going to add in a little extra padding there. Let's take a look on the front end. And that looks a lot better. If we compare to the Figma file, you can see these aren't quite going all the way out to the side, but I actually prefer them being kind of that full grid width. Just that way, if we have longer text here, it's going to fill that out. I think I will have to play around with my colors a little bit. Again, I don't want to spend too much time troubleshooting all that with you guys. We'll come back and do that maybe at the end and get all our colors finalized at the end. But for the most part, they are working how I would like them to. So I think we are good with this. That wraps up this one. And again, you can see that inside our component, we have the option to switch how we want those cards. We can use what loop we want to use here. for that, and it automatically changes our icon based on those props. So hope you guys like this video. Drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you have not yet. We have a lot more videos in this series coming up. Again, in the next video, I'm going to just make this section intro component official, and we'll have to make a few different variations of it based on what we're seeing here on the home page. We're going to have ones with we'll call it with an icon, without an icon, with a accent heading, without an accent heading, with a lead, without a lead. And I think that'll probably be it. This one will probably be a little bit separate. Maybe I'll add in a slot in there just in case. But otherwise, I feel like that is pretty straightforward of what we're doing on those. So stick around for the series, and we'll see you guys in the next video.